What's good, Blaster Podcast? Welcome out to Challenge, your boy Jared. Today we're going to be doing a video from Anton Daniels. But first, I just want to inform you guys. I found a new recording software that I'm going to be using soon. But I'm going to do some test trials first before I do it. And I know I'm going to have to get a second screen before I actually start using it for daily use. But today we're going to be doing it from the old OBS system. Just for the meantime. Because I'm tired of OBS screwing up every time. But I just wanted to inform you guys before we get started on this video. But today we're going to be doing a video from Anton Daniels. And this video is something that needs to be actually talked about. And this is to my sisters. I love y'all. But y'all need this rude awakening. And it's about time for brothers to start actually telling y'all about yourselves. But listen to this.
Anton, they are not on YouTube.
That's fine. That's fine. They're not here for Anton. They're not.
We give it
We're here
grace
for you, Victor. Keep going.
Question. Okay.
We giving grace today.
Let's ask the same question that he asked CJ to Victor and Jamisha. Jamisha, you talk first. What are the reasons you're backing Kamala? What policies do you agree with?
So, my first thought process is I would want to make sure that I have an understanding, or obviously I'm new to this and on this platform, but in reading in the audience, but I do want to have an understanding that the administration signs in the bills and they do specific executive orders in regards to policies and laws, but the people that have these conversations and do the work is Congress. So I understand that we like to say Kamala and Biden and Trump, but I don't view it as that. So I just want to put that out there. I go based on the Congress and people that do that type of work. But one reason that I would support and vote for Kamala outside of the policy when I get to it is Trump is stating that he wants to be a dictator. So I don't want a form of government where one person is just running the country or wanting to get rid of the Constitution, which the country was founded on. So, I mean, that is a big reason why I would want to make sure that I'm voting for the other candidate, because I don't want that to happen to democracy, because I live and work within the democracy as being an elected official. But outside of that, I respect the fact of her encouragement or platform of having diversity and equal representation, meaning we need to get more Black and brown people elected to office.
Okay, so I just want to interject right here. Now, there's two problems with that. And the first problem is the whole dictator thing. Now, her being an elected official, she knows that there's checks and balances that's supposed to be had in government. She knows that there's supposed to be checks and balances. So the simple fact that she's stating that Trump said this stuff when we all know he didn't is false. Her being an elected official, she knows that there cannot be a supposed quote-unquote dictator, especially because constitutionally the military will have to step in and actually pull his ass up out of there if he becomes tyrannical. That's their duty to this country, to protect the country from enemies, foreign and domestic. That is part of their directive as military in this country. They would have to follow the Constitution. If the president becomes tyrannical, it is their directive to protect the country from a domestic threat. And the second one, matter of fact, we're going to rewind on that one for a minute.
Her encouragement or platform of having diversity and equal representation, meaning we need to get more Black and brown people elected to office.
That part, the whole Black and brown coalition bullshit. Now, we all know when they say Black and brown coalition, they specifically mean brown. There's no black in that. They don't give a fuck about us. They just want Black and brown at the beginning because it's viewed as supposed to be a bipartisan relationship between black and brown, but it's mainly focused on brown instead of black and brown. Look at what's going on in California, and you tell me that how that black and brown coalition bullshit worked out for black people. Tell me that.
I care about the fact of her health care because black women die at a high rate when it comes to medical services. I also want women's rights. I shouldn't have to sit here and fight for my rights or my daughter's rights to be able to, if they choose to have an abortion, if something's wrong with the child. These are just little things. The Voters Act.
Can I ask you, black woman, a question about this whole abortion rights thing? Yes, we know that you should have the right to abort a child if it could harm you or the child has defects that will render it brain dead, to be completely honest. Why is it that y'all believe that y'all should have abortion rights as an active birth control measure for y'all fucking all these different men out here? And that's an honest question. Do you think it's right for you to be for you to not be wearing condoms or having any other contraceptives on the market, as many as we do, that you should be getting pregnant and then complaining about the right to abort a child when you've had several different ways to keep from conceiving a child? I just want to ask that before Anton starts to go in.
Those are things that I feel I want to see, replicated in our country, and that's not what the other side has on their platform.
This is insane. This is absolutely insane. She started off her narrative about what it is that she didn't like about Trump again. And usually what I've come to conclude is that most people do that because she doesn't have policy. Even the talking points that dictator, even the talking points that she has are general. They're not even real policy. We have
Wait. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let me go to the Kamala Harris's website again so we can all look at this objectively. Because apparently y'all think we all lying about Kamala not having shit on her damn fucking donate. Okay. There are no policies. There are none. Donate by the mail. Donate to Harris Victory Fund. Contact us. Store for merch. Questions. Frequently asked questions, I should say. Work with us. Your privacy rights. Website conditions and terms. Website accessibility statement. Paid for by Biden. Paid for by Harris for president. Now, wait a minute. Hold up. Let's go to Trump. Let's go to Trump's website. Platform. Hold up. Wait a minute. Platform. Oh my God. He has 20. Seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. Carry out the largest deportation operation in America. In American history. End inflation and make America affordable again. Make America the dominant energy provider in the world by far. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. Large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. Defend our Constitution, Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom to right to keep and bear arms. Oh my God. That's just 7 of them right there. Prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and the Middle East, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense system over our entire country. All made in America, so that means American jobs. Y'all always talking about jobs. Well, that's your job right there. Never mind. End weaponization of government against the American people, which they're fucking doing. Stop the migrant crime epidemic. Demolish the foreign drug cartels. Crush gang violence and lock up violent offenders. Rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. Hold up, wait a minute. We keeping going. We keeping it going. Strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and the most powerful in the world. Keeping the this is a big one. This is why inflation is going up. Keep the American dollar as the world's reserve currency. You want to know why the doggone American dollar is starting to doggone falter? Because countries like BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, they're starting to come up with their own currency. You don't believe me? Let's do this. What are the BRICS nations? Oh, yes. Oh, I was right. Oh, right on the goddamn money. Ooh. For you motherfuckers always talking about I ain't reading. Fuck you, nigga. So BRICS is an intergovernmental organization comprising of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the United Arab Emirates. Ooh, goddamn. So to all you motherfuckers out there wondering why inflation in the American dollar is losing its value, it's because of these motherfuckers right here are coming up with their own damn currency. Hold up. The term was coined in 2001 by Goldman Sachs economist Jim O'Neill to describe the fast growing economies in these countries, which he believed would dominate the global economy by 2050. So to all you slow motherfuckers out here talking about doggone Kamala in this doggone what's it called? Abortion rights. Well, you keep that shit going on, the American dollar is gonna falter. So I understand your fight for women's rights. I understand that. But you also got to look at the doggone price of everything going up and skyrocketing under the current administration, which Kamala Harris is a part of. So mess me with that bullshit. I'm sorry. I love y'all. But you got to keep it real sometimes. Let's get back to it. Fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare without cuts, including no changes to the retirement age. Cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut cost and broadest number. Broadstorm, y'all see that shit. I'm a little slow right now. Cut federal funding for any schools pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate radical sexual and political content on our children. What they mean by that, critical race theory, I understand that's a trigger point. I mean, I don't agree with that. So that radical gender ideology, so transgenderism, that keep men out of women's sports, deport pro-Hamas radicals, and make our college campuses safe and patriotic again. Secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter ID, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. Unite our country by bringing it to new and record record levels of success. They could have worded it differently, but okay. But that's Trump's policies. That's what Trump wants to do for 2024. Meanwhile, let's go back to Kamala. Let's go back to let's go to your VP. Look right here. Donate nothing. I'm sorry, I had to show y'all that. Oh, and are we gonna talk about that? We gonna talk about that bullshit that happened with the security breach with your social security numbers and your social security information. Are we gonna talk about that too later on in another video?
As are general. They're not even real policy. We have, okay, so number one, Trump never said that he wanted to remove abortion in general. And I'm not even an abortion supporter, right? What he said was it should go back into the states. The states specifically should be the ones to determine what happens on an individual state level, and it should not be in the hands of the federal government in the first place.
The problem is the whole reason why that shit got out of control with Trump, with people saying that Trump said that he wants to completely outlaw abortion. The reason why that got started is because of TikTok. The whole situation that happened with that was because people were on TikTok saying that Trump was saying this when he didn't. I remember that specifically because I got sent multiple videos talking about abortion rights from people that didn't even know what the fuck they were talking about. I actually said something about it, and my video got taken down by TikTok due to misinformation. Somebody reported my video because I challenged the narrative on that bullshit. They don't want you to know the truth. They want to control the narrative.
Okay? So that's number one. So all of this fear mongering when it comes to that whole women's rights things, that's trash. Number two, we got the same old talking points when it came to Obama, when it came to the people that's happening on a local level in all of these cities. This diversity, equity, and inclusion shit gotta die. It gotta die.
So
look, I want the best persons for the job.
States to regulate abortion. That means if you're not in a state that is for allowing someone to have a right to exercise in their body, then you're fucked up. So correct. I want it to be federal because then there is overseer on these rights.
Then when the government mandates something, then y'all gonna be complaining about that. So there's no winning with y'all. If the government has oversight, you're gonna be over here complaining about something else that deals with that specific law. Like them putting it, like say for instance, if the government had control over it, they put in a certain number of abortions you can have. Y'all be complaining about that. So it's no winning with that. Or you have to go to certain cities in order to do it. Y'all be complaining about there not being enough statewide for people to not have to travel far. Y'all be complaining about that. Or if they charge them a certain amount of money, y'all be complaining about how expensive it is. So there's no winning with y'all. If the government mandated it, y'all be complaining about it some way, somehow. So federally or statewide, y'all will still be complaining about it. The fuck?
I'm not going to be hopping and jumping from each state that is aligning with what I believe in just because we want to give states certain rights. The Constitution created rights for the states, but we have a federal government that needs to oversee states. So it's not adding up because you're going to move to a state if they heavy on policing, right, and they giving police immunity over in Texas.
Hold on, don't skip around. Let's stay on this abortion. Let's stay on this abortion thing.
To North Carolina and state of North Carolina and not be in Texas because we give so much governance over the state. No, I don't agree with that.
Well, listen, here's the beautiful thing. The first thing that y'all can do is close your legs.
Anton, slow down the chat.
No, I'm not slowing down the chat. The first thing that women can do, because y'all so concerned with the government playing a role in what it is that you got going on as far as whether or not you can have a child or not, is close your legs and marry before you carry.
Let me ask y'all a question. Who controls birth? The women. Who controls who comes into this world and who doesn't? Women. Y'all have the ability to control who comes into this world and who doesn't. So if y'all just magically just stop fucking every Tom, Dick, Pookie, and Harry on the damn street, y'all wouldn't be having to worry and talk about abortions like y'all do. Problem is, and I've noticed this, the problem is y'all want the ability to hoe around and not deal with the consequences. I said it. Y'all want the ability to be able to go around, fuck whoever you want to fuck, and have as much unprotected sex as you can out here without having the consequences of having a child. Children are beautiful, but the problem is there's been over 20 million black children killed deleted within, not born because of this abortion right. Yes, you have the right to abort a child, but you also shouldn't be allowed to abort a child as a convenient form of contraception. That's where the problem lies. And the problem is what you're not recognizing is as many kids have been aborted, we should be 100 million strong in this country. Problem is y'all taking that specific form of contraception as the primary form instead of not having relationships with the man that you know they ain't gonna be worth it. And if you do smash without protection, y'all keep the child. Or if the man says he don't want the child and you keep the child anyways, and he ain't acting right, then y'all want to sit here and complain about old men ain't shit. Y'all control. Excuse me. Y'all control that. Not men. Yes, we need to wear protection, but that's a whole nother situation. You carry that child for 9 months. We have no control over that. We have no say-so in that.
So do you automatically assume that a woman gets an abortion because she doesn't want to have the baby? Or what about if the baby has a disability inside? My daughter was born.
There are exceptions that both sides. There are exceptions that both sides agree on.
But they don't agree.
Rape, incest, disabilities. That is not even the.
So I'm saying, like, I hear you, but you have to speak the facts on what the other side says.
I am speaking the facts.
Blanket and
you know what? Let's do this. Let's fact check that right now. Ooh. I'll fuck around by a Porsche 911. I was going to have a wide body kit on it by the end of the fucking month. Okay. What are the Republican stances on abortion? Support among Americans for abortion access has risen in the last 2 years. Okay, so abortion is not contraception. It's not birth control. I feel like contraceptive medication and pills, whatever you call it, should be easily accessed to women so they don't get caught in that position. I don't see how IVF is bad, and I really don't understand the argument against it. I think IVF is a good thing, and I think it's pro-life, and I don't think it should be touched. Hold up. Some Republicans and conservative activists have advocated for a national abortion ban, including GOP vice president nominee. Certainly would like abortion to be illegally nationally. Yet, This has been a very divisive issue for the country, and the best stars. Okay, that didn't really get too much insight. Hold up. It should be up to the states. It should have never been. It should have never been on a national level. Okay. Okay, so this is coming from Jesus Christ, all these damn what's it called? The softer stance on abortion also comes as voters have appeared to reject an all-out ban on abortion. Voters have backed abortion rights on all 7 abortion-related. Okay. Okay, 24. The platform calls on states rather than Congress to weigh in on. Calls for the pass of legislation that will bar abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy and prohibits sex selectiveness and disability related. Okay. Okay, in 51 years, because of us, that the powers that have been given to the states to the vote of the people, we will oppose late-term abortion while supporting mothers and policies to advance prenatal care, access to birth control, and IVF. Abortion opponents largely praise the document, despite a pared down mentions at the moment. Okay, the Republican Party means Trump. You know what? I'll do more research on this. I know I'm recording this. I'm a leave that alone for right now. But let's get back to it.
Abortion, don't care if you slept with your cousin or if you were hard.
I just literally said rape, incest, disabilities, and late-term carrying. These are things that they agree with on both sides. Maybe not the late-term carrying
levels. Look up Mark Robinson.
Listen. From Trump's perspective and from Kamala's perspective, on both sides, they don't disagree with those 3 talking points: rape, incest, and late-term carrying, especially when it comes to disabilities. Okay,
they do on state levels. There are state governors or people that's running. Mark Robinson for the state of North Carolina is currently trying to run for the governor, and he wants to do a blanket across the state of North Carolina. No abortion.
Then that means that the voters on a local level then should be able to determine whether or not they want him as their governor. Because the local election is if not more important than who it is that you have on the national level. But the fact of the matter is, keep your legs closed. That's number one. And because y'all arguing on something that you can control. I never in my life ever had to worry about anything that was child related, especially when it comes to abortion, because I was very definitive of whether or not I was going to have a child. And there's literally over 100 different forms of contraception to prevent you from putting yourself in that position in the first place. So that's number one. And that's not something it's not something that I'm ever going to let a politician play on my emotions for, as far as what's best for my family. So now you're telling me that number 2, you keep on trying to skip past. You keep trying to skip past what you said. You keep trying to skip past what you said as far as this identity politics bullshit. and it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so basically what you basically telling me is that you want to vote somebody in based off of racism and prejudice and bias because you don't want, you're not looking at who's best for the job. You're looking at, and the first thing that you said was, this is what I don't like about Trump. And then you tried to qualify it by a bunch of general talking points, especially when it comes to the diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Those ain't general.
We offer that bullshit.
We need diversity.
We offer the politics based on identity.
People currently in the Congress that are black, but only 80% of them are Democrats. Okay, and I don't think the party line. I'm independent. That does matter because equal.
You're not independent. You're not independent. Stop it.
More people that look like us because they understand our issues in our.
They don't. They don't. You know how I know that? You know how I know that for a fact?
Now, this right here is the problem that a lot of us have as black people. Y'all are listening to talking points and listening to these people that look like you instead of actually listening to what they're actually saying. You're listening, but you're not understanding what they're saying. There's several people that were put into places of power through diversity and equity and inclusion. Several people. And what happened? Those people turned out to be corrupt. Several people have caused a lot of shit in this country through DEF. DEF. Or DEI, whatever the fuck she's called. DEI, yes, DEI. Kamala Harris is a big one.
And a civilian. So
the blackest cities in the United States of America are the ones that black people ran into the fucking ground. Tell that to Tiffany Henyard over there in Dalton. Tell that to Brandon Johnson over in Chicago, what he doing to his city. Tell that to Karen Bass of what it is that they doing over there in LA. Talk to London Breed to what they doing over there in San Francisco. Talk to Detroit, Michigan, and we was the biggest city to file for bankruptcy, and all we had was black leaders. I don't give a fuck about no identity politics. I care about what's best for my family.
That's a different process. You understand?
It's not.
Conversation. You need to get people in office that represent you, but you also need to hold these elected officials to the fire when you get them in office. So vote.
Well, she just said, matter of fact, let me rewind it because that didn't make no damn sense.
What they doing over there in San Francisco. Talk to Detroit, Michigan, and we was the biggest city to file for bankruptcy, and all we had was black leaders. I don't give a fuck about no identity politics. I care about what's best for my family.
That's a different process. You understand?
It's not.
Conversation. You need to get people in office that represent you, but you also need to hold these elected officials to the fire when you.
She said you need to get people in office that represent you. The one, what she's talking about is the ones that look like you. She's not talking about ones that actually represent what your concerns are. She's talking about ones that look like you, that represent you. Looks rather than policies. Every black politician that we have say that they represent us, but they don't. They represent their own interests. Raphael Warnock is a big one that I know of too. Kamala Harris ain't even black, and she's over here trying to pretend like she's a black woman.
You get them in office, so voting is not the first stop.
Go over there to Dalton, Illinois, and tell me that they're not trying to hold her to the fire, but she's still running the city into the ground.
Fannie Willis.
They operating at a $6.5 million deficit. Brandon Johnson just got into office 8 months ago, and he's already running the city into a deficit, and they've given over $400 million to migrants, illegal migrants into this country.
They do a good job on picking the correct candidate. You assume that I said because we need diversity.
The best candidate wasn't even black.
Just picking anybody off the street.
They picked him based off of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Have a good candidate, but I prefer them to look like me.
So what makes Kamala Harris a good candidate? Because you haven't said anything.
I just told you the policies that I support. Just because they don't align.
Like I just told you, she didn't have no fucking policy. So what is this woman talking about? Oh, wait. I think I got an idea. Let's see. Let's see.
I want to bring in MSNBC political analyst Tim Miller, who's worked on Jeb Bush's 2016 campaign and hosts the Bulwark podcast, and Robbie Mook, Hillary Clinton's former campaign manager and currently president of the House Majority PAC. Robbie, how tricky will it be for Vice President Harris to remain part of this administration and appear with the president and then try to split with him and his policies literally the next day?
Well, I don't think it's quite as black and white as that. I mean, she is her own person. She worked with the president. The contest in this race is about which candidate has a plan for the future, which candidate do voters feel can bring us into a better future.
Kamala has nothing invested in the future. That's the problem that a lot of people don't realize. Kamala has no children. She has no children. So she's not investing in the future of this country. So they're talking about the future of this country. She has none. Her genetic legacy, her last name dies with her. She has nothing invested in the future for my generation or the next generation. She has she has nothing for the future of our country.
And the problem that Donald Trump has had all along is he has a pretty icky past. His time in the White House was full of instability, recklessness. We all remember him talking about drinking bleach to cure COVID. And so Harris has this incredible opportunity to have all the advantages of incumbency, right? She walked into a campaign with a big bank account, staff.
It will shift emphasis
Into the convention.
Tim, I want to read for you part of what the New York Times said today about Vice President Harris's plan going forward. The Times reports she will lay out an approach relatively light on details. It will shift emphasis from Mr. Biden's focus on job creation and made in America manufacturing and toward efforts to rein in the cost of living. But it will rarely break from Mr. Biden on substance. That strategy reflects the advice economic aides have given Ms. Harris to be clear and bold in talking about the economy, but not overly specific. Tim, what do you make of that strategy? And is this the kind of plan you think she can ride for another 12 weeks?
It's only 12 weeks, right? And so I do think that's an opportunity for her in addition to being a challenge, right? There's fewer time for, having to deal with having different challenges. Had she gone through a primary, other Democratic challengers trying to poke holes in plans, et cetera. I think a lot of times Democrats traditionally have gotten a little too bogged down in plans and white papers, and Republican campaigns have been a little bit better about being breezier on details and focusing on thematics. Whether that's right or wrong, it is something that tends to help in a campaign setting. And so I think that she can. I think that the challenge, just listen to Robbie talk, is she's got to talk about the future. There has to be enough meat on the bones for what is the plan for the future? How are we going to reduce costs, either at the grocery store, in housing? I noticed in her first ad, she mentioned reducing housing costs, which I think is really smart. That's an issue that a lot of people are dealing with right now. And then Donald Trump on the other side, he's going to wants her to carry all the baggage that was keeping Biden's numbers down on this. And so I think that will be the push and pull between the campaigns, with her talking about how she's not going back and Trump doing his best in between his weird tangents to try.
What's disappointing about all of this is this. None of these people have anything that's genuine when it comes to her policies. They can't name any. And the sad part is we have a lot of a lot of people in our country that don't really look at what's going on, don't really listen, but yet they complain about what's going on. And the sad part is Kamala, I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but Kamala ain't really a good person to be even fucking talking about being voted for. She's not. And the bad part is you're gonna have people that's gonna try to vote for her just because. But anyways, guys, like, share, subscribe to the channel, support the podcast on Spotify.com. I'll catch you guys on the flip side, and thank you guys for listening. Bye, guys.